Race has always played an integral part in American society. Times have been polarizing, and lately we've had to question more often than not whether or not something is racist. What is racism? Who is racist? What is the racist criteria? Today we'll be analyzing 3 video clips and deliberating amongst one another to come to a general consensus on whether or not we believe, with the education we've received, as well as personal experience, what they said was or was not racist.
Rush Limbaugh.
So, nigga with an A on the end. Well, I think I can now. Isn't that the point? Because it's not racist. That's the point. I could be talking about a male. I could be a Chinese male, a guy at the laundromat. I could be talking about
you guys
a man.
thought that he was racist twice, right?
Yes.
Right. So why is the Chinese man in the laundromat?
Thank you.
Like, and I heard that, I was like,
That was like, why are you so gung ho? Why do you need to say the word? Like,
yeah.
I think the need to say it, the want to say it is just like, why?
I felt like
it doesn't make sense to me.
he was trying to use that example to get away with being publicly racist.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna pretend that I'm not racist, but I'm gonna give you this statement that's really racist in hopes that you don't really catch it.
And then a metaphor that's even equally racist. Like, it's just.
Don't all racist things start off with not to be racist, but
Yeah.
Like the word nigga is not a word to just other, people in general. It was a word that othered African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't apply to other people.
Exactly.
You get me?
So what you're saying is like, it's like a culture thing then?
Yeah,
or is it-
definitely.
It's
It wasn't, that word wasn't meant to degrade other ethnicities.
Right. Well, I
It was
believe
used to degrade, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like, like when you interview like a billionaire and the billionaire is talking about what's a good minimum wage, what's not a good minimum wage. I'm like, you're like a billionaire. Why are you talking about what's a good minimum wage or not? You don't even experience that.
Right.
So it's really strange for a white man to be talking about what's racist, what's not racist, when they're not being racist, to discriminate against. I think really the definition of like mansplaining is that when powerful, rich white men are told that, hey, like, your action hurt me. Instead of saying, oh, sorry, I won't do it again, they're like, oh, no, this is why I did it. Let me explain. Let me tell you why I did it. And it's like, do I care? No, I don't care. Right? I don't care why you ask Asian people where they're from, even though they're Asian Americans. I just need you to stop.
Right.
That's all.
Racist.
As fuck.
You're a fucking terrorist, you are.
I am?
Yeah, you are.
Why is that? Why am I a terrorist?
Because you would turn it off if you're a real man.
Why am I a terrorist?
Turn it off if you're a
No,
real man.
why am I a terrorist? Because I'm wearing
Shut the
Muslim.
fuck
Because
up.
I'm wearing Muslim garb. That's why I'm a terrorist.
No, you're the one that's doing this.
But how am I a terrorist?
I
Though?
tried to
Explain it to me.
I started.
Listen,
trying to
I'm
make it-
in Applebee's right now.
Right, you're at
Listen,
Applebee's.
I'm in Applebee's in
Right.
Norristown. This guy's been harassing me and my family.
Look what he did.
And this guy's still in here. You should have been kicked this guy out. Y'all should have been kicked this guy at the restaurant, man. This is ridiculous, man. Y'all should have been kicked this guy out. This guy been harassing me since I've been here, man.
He's gone.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. But you should have been kicked this guy out.
I mean, it's definitely racist in that, like, he's wearing, I would assume it's like a religious, like, clothing, correct? That he's wearing, and they're assuming that he's racist or that he's a terrorist based off of what he's wearing. But like, based off of what you're wearing, based off of your religious background or beliefs, that has nothing to do with you causing or bringing terror on other people. Because people think I'm Middle Eastern all the time, so people like have been racist to me or called me racist or call me a terrorist or call me like something derogative because they think I'm Middle Eastern. So no, it's awful.
Relating to what he was saying, obviously, I don't have the garb in the whole 9 yards, but when situations like that arise, I usually like to piss the other person off. Like, because I like to, I do background acting and whatnot, and I work with kids, so I'm always doing the accents or whatever and stuff like that. And so when they would attack me with something like that, I'd be like, oh, what is your problem, sir? I am not a terrorist, or whatever it is. And then they're like, what? You are? I'm like, no, listen. First of all, you're an idiot. Second of all, I've had people tell me, like, go back where you came from.
I think it's just an excuse to be racist. That's it. They see something and they're like, "Ooh, now we can say it out loud."
And I think that the people in politics today, particularly Donald Trump, who says stupid shit like that, this is the stuff that opens up the door for others to be that blunt. And it's kind of like, be courteous.
I think the word for it is Islamophobia. Like when you're just assuming that because they're wearing like Muslim garb, like their traditional garb, that it's like they're, a terrorist or whatever. Right. Like, you said the history about, 9/11 and all that, but it just sounds like they're at an Applebee's. Like the guy came to Applebee's to eat dinner or eat whatever, and him and his family were doing the same exact thing. So how do you get terror? How do you get fear from somebody that's just sitting there eating dinner with their family? I don't like what you're doing, or I don't like what you're wearing because I don't understand it. I don't know it. It's different from what I know. It's different from what I'm comfortable with. Let me just associate that with whatever picture I have that looks like that the media gave me. Exactly. And the media gave me this and told me that whatever you're wearing, whatever you're doing is terrorism.
I think he was projecting his anger onto him. I don't think he was scared or fearful whatsoever, because if I don't know anybody who's scared and fearing for their life, go in straight to the thing that they're scared of and attack it. That makes no sense. I know people run the other way. Right. So you weren't scared, so don't act like you were scared.
But that's us. That's us of color. We're the ones that run away.
I think it's a matter of people allowing things like this to happen. You see how the manager didn't kick him out after so long of, seeing him blatantly say what he had to say. But let it have been one of the minorities, you know what I mean, to pull something like that, we would have been kicked out quick. They would have called the cops on us, had us in handcuffs for something we verbally said. But you see how long it took them to get the man out of jail.
And
it was gentle, right?
Exactly.
It was all like,
he's like, he's going.
I love Korea. I love every country. But when they come to America, it would be nice if they spoke English.
Too bad for
That's
you.
not racist. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass.
Okay, so I grew up in the Midwest, and we had a rule in our high school in place. This might shock you all. So if you're caught speaking a foreign language, you'll be given a strike. And 2 strikes are in detention. Yep. Okay, so I've never been in detention because I was like a really good kid and I wanted to follow every rule, and I was scared of death. But a lot of my friends were caught speaking Chinese or Korean. But yeah, that was really traumatic. And then I transferred to another school, and similar rules were in place too. And that was in Wisconsin, not surprisingly. The question in my mind growing up was that why are people so fearful of another language? That's the part that I never was able to understand. And some people were saying oh, maybe you were talking shit about me, but I have no idea. But I was like, why do you care about my opinion so much? So it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know, it's interesting. It's when I hear other people speak a different language, I think that's kind of hot. I don't know. I don't know why. I think that there is a racism going on though, because when you think about it, Timothée Chalamet, one of the upcoming actors, he can speak French because his dad is French. And then everybody was like, oh, he's so talented. And there's even a clip of him speaking French on a French TV show, right? That was hot because that was a European language. And a French accent is portrayed as sexy too, and an English accent, but not a Chinese accent, right? Not a Spanish accent. So, and then, when you think about people saying that Timothée Chalamet was talented, but there's a ton of people in California that speaks Spanish and English. Nobody tells them that they're talented. But instead, people say, why didn't you go back to Mexico? I think really it trickles down to everything that white people has, that's a good thing. But everything people of color has, oh, that's a threat. But let's not forget all the horrific crimes in history were committed by white people. Nazi Germany, right? The homicide of Indian Americans. But then white people are very quick to forgive themselves and be like, oh no, that's in the past. That's Germany, this is America. But when it comes to 9/11, it's oh no, let's not forget the past, right? Let's just get to the bottom of this. No forgiving, even though 9/11 is nowhere near the level of Nazi Germany and the homicide of Native Americans.
It just comes from a sense of entitlement, that she feels that she has the right to be able to say, hey, you know what? Stop talking that specific language because I don't understand it. But how the gentleman in the video made a very like good point is, us in the U.S. we don't have an official language, and even if we did, how you said earlier, like why does it bother you so much? Like if I am speaking about you, like why do you care about my opinion so much? And I just think that comes with like the fear of like the unknown. I think it's racist when you feel like it's like you're superior to someone else. And I think that's just what it is, like that she in a way felt superior to them. She felt, hey, you know what, like you guys need to be abiding by my standards, like how they were talking earlier.
Psychological standpoint, it's an insecurity. You know, my mom came from Mexico, and I think the first like 3 English words she learned was coffee, eggs, and bacon. My dad was working. They both came from Mexico. My dad was working with the agriculture business. He picked fruit, whatever. And so he would hand my mom money and says, if you ever get hungry, go down to the coffee shop and just be like eggs, bacon, and coffee. And so my mom, that's all she really started off as, speaking as far as English. And the thing is, like, I think for me, I understand that this is America, but you also have to understand that this is America. It's not just English, America. This is just one version of America where everyone's supposed to be speaking English, and it's, well, Jolly-O, and all that other stuff, that's out the window. It's more like, hey, what's up? And then you have multiple languages that have been, meshed, and there's slang, and there's so many things that, who cares?
I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I grew up in like a primarily Hispanic community, so speaking Spanish and like all that was, completely normal. But when we moved over here to Redlands, it's like one of the first times I'd never been called a spick. I'd never been called a wetback before. I'd never been called any of that until I came here. And I was like, it's a culture shock. You're like, what the fuck? Like, why am I now being like degraded? So when I got my first job, like, I don't know if you notice, like if you're able to speak, if you're Latino or whatever, and you're able to speak to someone in a language that's comfortable to them, then it definitely makes them want to come back. It makes them feel comfortable. And that's all it comes down to. It's like people feeling welcome. But I was told even at my job not to speak to them in another language, because then now you're making it like, not so much making it easier for them, but it's like now you're only catering to that type of person.
My experience with it, and like they're on a bus, like they're trying to police that space. Like you're literally on a public bus. They're just speaking another language. They're talking to somebody else that also speaks that language. That's a private conversation within a larger space. This woman is sitting on the bus in her own little world in this public space, right? And then the person that's defending the person that was speaking Korean is in their own private space within a public space. But this lady talking and saying, oh, like if you come to America, you have to speak English. You're policing this public space. This is not your rules. This is not your house. One, like, two, they're not speaking to you. I only ever see it in public spaces. And there's always one person, there's always that one that has like, feels this like need, it's like heroic, like, oh, I'm gonna speak up on behalf of, like.
She used the statement, it would be nice if they would speak English. Like, nice for who, lady?
Right.
You? Like, who cares how you feel?
Thank you.
I'm not talking to you.
Why does your comfort matter in this when I'm talking to
exactly? And yeah, so I definitely agree. They do have this power trip to police their surroundings. And it's like, for what? MYOB.
We kind of like say like, oh, you're welcome and free to be who you are, but when you get here, you can't be who you are. You gotta be just like me.
By the way,
no sense.
please, make sure you're filling these qualifications.
Right.
You have to
the fine print.
Right.
Racist.
I think people should stop blaming minorities for having a reaction to an oppressive force. So for example, like someone says something that was really triggering to me, right? Someone jumps in my face and be like, you're fucked up. And let's say they're like jumping right in front of me, like an inch away from my face. And I say, hey, if you were to get any closer, I'm gonna punch you in the face, right? So even though I'm making an aggressive comment towards that person, but it's in response to the person doing this to me in the first place. Oh, you're just being a white woman, you're being a white man. That's not minorities being racist. That's us defending ourselves in response to what white people have done to us for hundreds of years. The other day I saw a tweet that I thought it was pretty funny. It says reverse racism is when I back my car into a racist and I want to run over him just to make sure.
That was a waste of a tweet.
There was no reason for them to make that. There was no reason for it to be reported. It shouldn't be an article. It was a waste of time.
I always try to, like, as a minority, you know, look at situations like this and, like, put myself in that place and say, would I be offended if they were like, you're a black woman? If I'm black. Yeah. Like, I'm black. Yes, yeah. Thanks
Your
for
point.
Acknowledging.
I didn't take it as like you're a white woman, like calling her a white woman for saying that. I think it's one of those things where it's like she's defending America's Got Talent. Like we live in different worlds. You're a white woman, you know, so
Right.
X, Y, and Z has nothing to do with you. You wouldn't have had that experience because you're a white woman. You know what I mean? I didn't take it as like, oh no, you're a white woman. Like I took it as like you're a white woman. How could you possibly understand what it is that I'm saying about this show?
My brothers were both in the Marine Corps, and I used to gripe and bitch and complain about things that I didn't want to do. And so my brother used to say, you know what, excuses are like assholes. Everybody has one and they all stink. If the show isn't great, take that criticism and be like, how can I improve the show? But you can't cater to every single individual. I mean, but I think it would have been, if it would have been phrased differently, I think it would have made more of an impact. But it was kind of like, oh, you're white. I mean, to me, it's kind of like, well, you're pointing the obvious. I mean, that doesn't make sense. You know, like, have an argument.
Say I went somewhere and I was just like, this person called me black. They're so racist.
Right.
Okay, are you black? Well, yeah, I'm black, but that's not the point. They're racist. How are they racist? Like, why did you feel like that was racist to you?
What's super interesting is we are already hyper aware of what we're doing, what we're wearing, what we're saying, how we speak, our accents, all of that. But now that we're making them aware, they're tired of being hyper aware of everything. It's a huge problem. We need to stop, and
We're overly sensitive.
we're overly sensitive.
Yeah.
But they're not.